In this lecture, we're going to talk about software. Software is considered, another name for software is a computer program. Think of it as a bunch of files that work together to actually either perform a task or tell the computer how to do something. They are designed to provide what we call task-relevant environments. They have a specific purpose. Typically, you have a screen display, some way of collecting input. Some processing takes place, and then output is given to you, the user. We break up software into two specific categories: system software and application software. Think of system software as software that tells the computer what to do. It's designed for specific computer tasks like diagnosing the hard drive, internet connection. It's an interface between the actual CPU and the hardware. Application software is something that helps you do something. For example, you type up a paper in an English class. That is application software. You actually end up with the product, whereas system software kind of runs the computer. Software is broken up into many categories. We have the system software, and typically under system software we have the operating systems and then utilities and device drivers. Our application software is very, very broad, and it includes areas like spreadsheet, word processing, database, video editing, entertainment. You have your business or financial categories. So this area is really kind of endless. Going back a little bit, the operating system, its primary task is to manage the computer's resources. And we consider a resource any component that does something within that actual system unit. It also stores and retrieves all those files that you have to deal with. It also remembers where those files are stored. And if something's not working properly, it may actually give you an error message or something of that nature. And finally, it also controls the RAM or the memory and ensures that what is put into the computer is handled in a timely manner. Today we really have three main operating systems on the market. The Windows environment is the one that most folks are familiar with. But in addition, if you're running an Apple machine, you will have a Mac OS. And one that's a little interesting is called Linux. That's actually something that falls into freeware. And it's very similar to the Windows environment in that it has a graphical user interface, but it is also what we call a command line operating system. Which one you use really depends on what type of computer you have and your ability as a computer user. For example, Linux is an operating system that is not something that's geared towards a beginner. Mac OS only runs on an Apple machine. Right now, Microsoft Windows is what is installed on the majority of the world's computers, and the latest version just came out recently. If you're reading your textbook, it says the latest version is Vista, but as you may have heard recently, and some of you may have actually already upgraded to Windows 7, that is the current version that's on the market. Mac OS, the latest version is OS X, and its code name is Leopard. If you are wondering if you're running a Mac OS, typically you have an Apple logo at the top of the screen and then what we call a dock down at the bottom. Linux is also, we talked about it a second ago, is also a strange animal because the source or the actual code is also given for free. Unlike Windows, where Microsoft keeps the actual programming secret, Linux, the code is given there, so it's easily manipulated for specific purposes. And this is handled under a general public license. The public is free to make copies, give it away, sell it, whatever they want to. And what this does is it encourages programmers to help develop different parts of the operating system and keep it up to date and enhance it. Moving on to application software, Office productivity software is the most common software you're going to see on a computer. This is software that integrates word processing, spreadsheet, database, presentation into kind of one package. Word processing by itself, that is typically Microsoft Word. It's used to produce documents such as reports and letters, and you can format it in any way you need to. Desktop publishing is very similar to word processing, but it is more graphical in nature. This is typically used to do newsletters, brochures, flyers, things of that nature. Spreadsheets, this is basically an electronic way to keep up and do mathematical calculations. It's typically used for budgets, gradebook, inventory, things of that nature. We have what we call a worksheet, and it's a grid based on columns and rows, and the intersection of the two is referred to as a cell. Database software is used to organize and query information. Some terms that you need to be familiar with a database is a record is one person's entry. For example, John Doe, 123 Main Street. A field would be first name, last name, address, and a table would be, say, all of my customers. Presentation software, the one that's most commonly used today is PowerPoint. What this does is combine text, graphics, animation, sound to accompany somebody who is speaking. You're actually watching a presentation that's created with PowerPoint at this time. Web offering software is typically used to create web pages, and these are use HTML tools to generate those. Graphics software package, this is something that allows you to create, modify, manipulate, draw graphics. A lot of artists today will use a graphics tablet and actually draw their images electronically. Some drawing software that you can see, this allows you to have different tools that allows folks to kind of manipulate those graphics and customize them as they need. Paint software, some folks often refer to it as image editing, but what it allows you to do is you have electronic pens and brushes, and it works kind of like an electronic coloring book. And typically the one that most folks are familiar with is Microsoft Paint. It comes free as part of your Windows environment. Photo editing software, Adobe Photoshop is kind of the industry standard there, but it gives you features that are out there to actually edit and improve photographs. So you might remove red eye, you might crop the photo, and sometimes folks will have fun and try to actually take part of one photo and integrate it into another.